Good evening, BDM family, and welcome tonight. I want you to take some notes because what you're about to hear has the power to shift the entire direction of your financial future. But before we get started, let's take a minute to acknowledge those who have joined us. Welcome, Michael Crenshaw, Tom Leonard, Bob Richardson, Christina Collins, Jean Thoreau, Pauline Celestine, Sally Puckett, Stephen Carter. Welcome, welcome. I'm sure we'll have more folks showing up. But uh, tonight we're going to share a video. I think you're going to enjoy it. Napoleon Hill spent a lifetime studying the world's most successful people, and he discovered one powerful truth that echoes the very foundation of our mission. Money flows toward those who understand the law, and that law begins on the inside before it ever shows up on the outside. Now, if you grasp what this video teaches, lack will no longer be your story. Confusion will no longer be your mental state. Struggling, surviving, hoping, those will be replaced by clarity, confidence, and supernatural provision. Open your heart, open your mind, because tonight you're about to be reminded about a principle that, when lived, guarantees increase. Let's roll the video.
If you understood the law I'm about to reveal, lacking money would become as impossible as lacking air. Not because you grind harder, not because you sacrifice more, but because you finally stop breaking the spiritual law that actually moves money your entire life. You were taught a lie that money is earned through struggle, that the more you suffer, the more you deserve, that wealth is the reward for exhaustion. But look around you. The hardest workers are rarely the richest. The most exhausted are rarely the most abundant. Some people push endlessly and stay stuck, while others move calmly, confidently, and money seems to follow them effortlessly. This is not luck. This is law. Over a century ago, Wallace D. Wattles wrote a sentence. The world misunderstood. You do not get rich by doing certain things, but by doing things in a certain way. Most people focus on doing. Almost no one understands the certain way. That way is alignment. Alignment with the invisible law that responds not to sweat, but to consciousness, faith, and gratitude. You have felt this law before, moments when you forced everything and nothing worked, and other moments when you simply knew something would succeed, and it did. In this session, you will learn why money does not come from labor, why struggle repels the very supply you are chasing, and how to shift from a life where you work for money to a life where money works through you. This is not motivation. This is mechanics, the spiritual physics of wealth. And once you understand this law, you will never look at money the same way again. Before you can understand the law that creates effortless wealth, you must confront the lie that has silently ruled your entire life. Hard work is not the cause of money. It never was. For generations, humanity worshiped labor as if sweat itself were divine. We were taught that aching hands meant virtue, that tired eyes meant progress, that if you simply pushed long enough, a fortune would eventually reward you. Factories echoed with this belief. Mines, fields, and offices all became altars to the god of effort. But look closer. If effort created wealth, how the richest people would be the most exhausted. The ones working 2 shifts would own skyscrapers. The ones breaking their backs would build empires. Yet reality exposes the lie. Some people grind endlessly and still drown in bills. Others, who do not push nearly as hard, seem to attract opportunities, connections, and income with almost unfair ease. Why? Because money does not come from labor. Money comes from consciousness. This truth is not motivational, it is mechanical. It is the spiritual physics of wealth. There is an invisible law operating beneath every economy, every business, every paycheck. A law older than industry, older than money itself. Wallace D. Wattles named it the certain way, the mysterious alignment between your thought, your faith, and your vibration. To understand this, how consider two workers standing side by side. The first believes life is hard. He believes money is scarce. He believes he must fight for every dollar. And so his actions, though sincere, radiate anxiety. His vibration whispers lack, uncertainty, fear. The universe responds in kind, echoing his inner movie. The second worker may be just as skilled, but he holds a different inner world. He sees abundance as natural. He believes in opportunity. He trusts the invisible laws that govern supply. His vibration whispers increase, possibility, certainty, and the same universe mirrors that back to him. Two people, same effort, different frequency, different result. This is why hard work is not the source of wealth. It is merely a channel through which your inner state expresses itself. Effort without alignment becomes strain. Effort with alignment becomes magnetism. You've seen this in your own life. Think of moments when you forced everything pushing, worrying, trying to control every outcome and nothing worked. Now think of the moments when something inside you simply clicked, when you felt calm, clear, certain, and opportunities opened faster than you could logically explain. That quiet certainty was alignment. That was the law working through you. The world calls these moments luck, but luck is only the visible shadow of invisible law. What Wattles revealed is this: you do not get rich because you work hard. You get rich because your mind, emotions, and actions vibrate in harmony with wealth. Struggle is the vibration of separation. Alignment is the vibration of creation. The lie of hard work keeps people enslaved to effort. The truth of alignment frees them to rise. And once you understand this, once you realize wealth is not something you chase, but something you allow, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. In the next chapter, we will uncover the exact mechanism behind this phenomenon, the thinking substance, the invisible field that responds to your dominant vision and gives form to whatever you impress upon it. When you understand this field, money will stop feeling distant, and wealth will stop feeling random, because you'll finally see the true source behind it all. Before money ever existed, before banks, coins, salaries, or markets, there was something far more powerful, ancient, and constant, the thinking substance. Wallace D. Wattles described it as a living, intelligent field that fills every space of the universe, a formless, creative ocean of consciousness from which all things are made and through which all wealth flows. This substance is not fantasy. It is the spiritual physics behind every fortune on earth. Wattles wrote, "A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought." Pause and absorb that. Your thoughts are not private. Your emotions are not insignificant. Your beliefs are not harmless. Everything you think, everything you picture, everything you feel with conviction, is impressed upon this universal field, and the field mirrors it back into your reality. This is the law behind all other laws. Imagine standing in a room that is completely filled floor to ceiling with invisible clay. Whatever shape you hold in your mind, this clay quietly molds itself into form, not instantly, but faithfully, precisely, relentlessly. This is the thinking substance. Money, opportunities, relationships, ideas, circumstances, all of them flow from this infinite field in response to the images you impress upon it. But here is where humanity became lost. We stopped believing in the invisible and started worshiping the visible. We forgot the cause and became obsessed with the effect. We chase money, never realizing money is simply the shadow of the consciousness that created it. Think of your own life. There were moments when you held a clear inner picture, a knowing so strong it felt like certainty and reality began to rearrange itself around that picture. Doors opened, people appeared, ideas aligned. That was not coincidence. That was the thinking substance responding to your clarity. Now think of the opposite moments when your mind was scattered, fearful, uncertain. Your thoughts contradicted your desires. Your emotions vibrated worry. Nothing flowed. Everything felt stuck. That too was the thinking substance responding, because doubt is a picture, fear is a frequency, and uncertainty is still an instruction. The field does not judge, it does not interpret, it does not filter, it obeys, you impress, it expresses. This is why Wattles insisted that wealth is not the result of chance or competition, but the result of thinking in a certain way. The thinking substance is infinite, meaning there is no shortage of supply, no competition for resources, no fixed amount of opportunity. When you understand this, envious, scarcity collapses, fear dissolves. Because you realize the universe is not a marketplace, it is a mind place, a living, breathing, responsive intelligence that shapes itself to your dominant image and reflects your inner world as outer experience. You are not here to fight for money. You are here to co-create with the field that produces money. You are not a beggar of the universe. You are an instrument of it. Once you grasp this truth, everything about your relationship with wealth changes. Imagine standing in a room that is completely filled floor to ceiling with invisible clay. Whatever shape you hold in your mind, this clay quietly molds itself into form, not instantly, but faithfully, precisely, relentlessly. This is the thinking substance. Money, opportunities, relationships, ideas, circumstances, all of them flow from this infinite field in response to the images you impress upon it. It is summoned by vision, summoned by belief, summoned by the thinking substance that never fails to respond. There is a truth so simple, yet so brutally ignored, that it has chained millions to a life of endless struggle. You cannot receive wealth while vibrating in the frequency of fear. And struggle is nothing but fear in motion. Look back at your own life. Recall the seasons when you ran harder than ever, working late, grinding, forcing, pushing only to watch doors remain closed. Opportunities slip away, and results crumble. You called it bad luck, unfair timing, or the cruelty of circumstance. But it was none of these. It was the law answering your vibration. Napoleon Hill wrote that every adversity every failure. Every delay carries its exact lesson, and the first lesson of wealth is this: fear and poverty walk hand in hand. Where fear exists, supply cannot flow. Where panic rules, opportunity hides. Where the mind is scattered, the universe is silent. The average man believes struggle is noble. He rises each morning ready to fight life, ready to chase money, as if money were running away from him. He works with tension in his shoulders, doubt in his heart, and worry humming through his thoughts like a quiet poison. In this state, every action is contaminated. Every effort is weakened. Every step becomes heavier than the last. For the man who works in panic is not working, he is drowning. Now observe another type of man, the man Hill described as one who has organized his mind and placed his faith under discipline. He does not chase. He does not rush. He does not wonder whether things will work. He knows, and that knowing, that calm inner certainty, pulls circumstances toward him with the same inevitability that gravity pulls the tide. One struggles, the other aligns. One shouts at the universe, the other speaks to it. One runs against the current, the other moves with it. Hill taught that definiteness of purpose is the greatest source of power in human life, and definiteness cannot exist in a mind filled with fear, doubt, or frantic labor. Fear scatters your power. Struggle divides your will. Only alignment, calm, organized, deliberate alignment concentrates the mind into a laser capable of bending circumstance. Think carefully about this. Struggle is not merely hard work. Struggle is resistance, and resistance broadcasts the message, I do not believe supply will come unless I force it. And the universe, unbedingt es ever, echoes back the same experience. Force, friction, delay, scarcity. You do not receive what you want. You receive what your state declares. A frantic mind declares lack. A calm mind declares abundance. A fearful heart says, I must fight for what I need. A confident heart says, what I need is already on its way. Struggle is the language of poverty. Alignment is the language of power. Napoleon Hill warned against becoming a slave to your emotions. For the man who cannot command his inner world will forever be pushed around by the outer one. To stop struggling is not laziness. It is mastery. It is learning to act with the quiet authority of someone who understands law, not the law of governments, but the law that governs thought, vibration, and supply. When you work from alignment, your efforts multiply. Your timing sharpens. Your ideas strengthen, and opportunities appear with uncanny precision. When you work from struggle, you push blessings away with the very hands meant to receive them. In the next chapter, you will discover the fork in human destiny, the competitive mind that fights for scraps, and the creative mind that draws from infinite supply. Choose wisely, for that choice determines whether you spend your life chasing wealth or summoning it. Every person walking this earth operates from one of two mental states. Napoleon Hill called them the constructive mind and the destructive mind. Wallace D. Wattles called them the creative mind and the competitive mind. Different names. Same law. One mind builds, the other destroys. One expands, the other contracts. One cooperates with the universe, the other fights against it. And your entire financial destiny rises or falls depending on which mind you use. Let us begin with the competitive mind, for it is the mind most people live in without ever realizing it. This mind believes the world is limited It believes resources are scarce, opportunities are rare, and someone else's gain must be your loss. It is the mind that says there isn't enough for all, it's me versus them. I must fight to get my share. This is the mindset of fear. And Hill warned that fear is the master thief of all potential. When fear governs your thinking, every action becomes contaminated. You compete, you compare, you resent, you envy, you shrink. A person in the competitive state cannot receive abundance because his vibration declares that abundance is scarce and no one can attract what they do not believe exists. But now look at the creative mind. This mind does not take. It originates. It does not fight. It builds. It does not resent another's success. It celebrates it. Knowing that the prosperity of another is evidence of prosperity available to all, the creative mind understands the law. Everything you want already exists in the infinite. Your task is not to compete for it, but to create the conditions within yourself that allow it to flow. Hill wrote that every great leader possesses a remarkable ability to see abundance where others see limitation. He called it the capacity to think in terms of riches, even in the presence of poverty. This is not denial. It is spiritual discipline. The competitive mind looks at what is and becomes a prisoner of appearances. The creative mind looks at what can be and becomes the master of circumstance. Ask yourself now and answer honestly which mind governs you. Do you feel threatened when someone prospers? Do you fear being left behind? Do you feel a sting watching others get ahead? If so, you are hypnotized by scarcity and scarcity. Once internalized, mirrors itself in every area of life. But when you praise another's success, when you bless the wealth of others, when you see abundance everywhere you look, you shift into the creative field, and the universe, recognizing your vibration, begins to respond in kind. Opportunity multiplies. Ideas sharpen. Resources gather. Doors open. Because you are no longer trying to defeat others, you are cooperating with the same source that prospers them. The competitive mind says there's not enough. The creative mind says the supply is infinite. The competitive mind asks, how do I beat them? The creative mind asks, what can I build? The competitive mind fights over the visible. The creative mind draws from the invisible. Hill warned that envy is a confession of inferiority, and that the mind fixated on limitation will always produce limited results. To be wealthy, you must think as wealth thinks. To rise, you must think as creators think. You cannot hold jealousy in one hand and abundance in the other. You cannot compete for what already belongs to you by law of consciousness. You must choose. Remain in the competitive state, and you will remain in fear. Fear of loss, fear of lack, fear of being surpassed. Shift to the creative state, and you step into partnership with infinite intelligence itself. In the next chapter, you will learn the most potent tool in creation, a definite vision, the mental picture that commands reality and gives the thinking substance its blueprint, because without a clear vision, even the creative mind cannot create. Napoleon Hill taught that the starting point of all achievement is a definite purpose, not a wish, not a vague preference, not a half-formed desire drifting in the mind, but a clear, deliberate, well-constructed vision held with unwavering intention. Why? Because the universe does not respond to confusion. It responds to clarity. In Hill's language, definiteness is power. In Wattle's language, definiteness is creation. And in the language of the universe, definiteness is instruction. Consider this: every building, every invention, every fortune, every empire began as a picture held so clearly that the thinking substance had no choice but to take shape around it. The tragedy of most lives is not lack of intelligence or opportunity, but a lack of mental precision. People drift. They want many things, yet decide on none. Their desires change with every mood. One day they want wealth. The next they fear it. One day they imagine success. The next they revert to old images of limitation. And the universe, obedientas ever, mirrors back their inconsistency. Hill warned that the drifter is doomed before he begins. Why? Because without a definite vision, the mind becomes a battlefield, one thought fighting another, one emotion canceling another. Until no creative force remains, you cannot create what you cannot see. A definite vision is not a fantasy. It is a command, a blueprint, a spiritual decree sent into the thinking substance, where it begins to crystallize into form. Wattle said that the image must be held with faith and purpose. Hill said it must be held with controlled attention. Both were describing the same law. To form a definite vision is to choose the picture that will rule your life. Ask yourself, what is the image you return to every day, not the one you wish you had, but the one that plays quietly when your mind drifts? Is it abundance or anxiety, wealth or worry, certainty or fear? Whatever image dominates your inner world becomes the script your outer world must follow. This is not metaphor. This is law. A mind without a definite vision will always become a servant to circumstance. But a mind with a definite vision becomes a master of circumstance. Hill emphasized that the greatest successes in history were held by individuals who saw the end long before the beginning. They lived mentally in their results, acting from the place they intended to reach, not from the place they currently stood. This is the secret behind thinking from not thinking toward. When you think toward your desire, you reinforce distance. When you think from your desire, you collapse it into the present. To build your definite vision, follow the same principles Hill gave to his students and leaders. 1. Enter the silence. Withdraw from noise and appearances. Creation begins where distraction ends. 2. Form one clear picture. Describe it in your mind until the image becomes more real to you than your current conditions. 3. Add emotion. Emotion is the magnet. It imprints the image into the thinking substance with force. 4. Hold it with faith. Faith is certainty without evidence. It is the only vibration strong enough to override old patterns. 5. Refuse contradictory thoughts. Dismiss doubt with the same authority a king dismisses a servant. No divided mind can create. 6. Act in harmony with the picture. Let every step you take affirm the reality you have already chosen. A definite vision is destiny in blueprint form. When the image becomes fixed, the universe begins its silent work, aligning circumstances, arranging people, reshaping opportunity, all to reflect the picture you refuse to let go. In the next chapter, you will learn the force that sustains that vision, faith, the spiritual substance that gives your desire weight, gravity, and form. For vision without faith is a sketch. Vision with faith is a command. Napoleon Hill declared that faith is the eternal elixir that gives life power and action to the impulse of thought. Every miracle of achievement begins with it. Every fortune is sustained by it. And every failure is the result of its absence. In the science of wealth, faith is not hope. Hope waits. Faith acts. Hope looks forward. Faith looks inward. Hope prays for results. Faith commands results. Hill insisted that faith is a state of mind that can be created, shaped, and strengthened with deliberate effort, because faith is not a gift reserved for the fortunate. It is a discipline reserved for the determined. To understand faith in the context of wealth, you must see it as Wattles did, as the substance from which wealth is formed. Thought is the blueprint. Vision is the architect. But faith is the building material, the invisible mass that pulls your desire out of the unseen and into the physical world. Without faith, even the clearest vision collapses. Imagine a seed placed in the soil. The seed contains the blueprint for a tree, but unless conditions of growth surround it, the blueprint remains dormant. Faith is the condition. Faith is the atmosphere. Faith is the spiritual environment in which your desire begins to germinate. Hill wrote that the subconscious mind transforms thought into reality only when the thought is saturated with belief. Belief is the force that charges the thought with life. A weak thought produces a weak result. A confident thought produces an inevitable one. Look at your own experience. There were moments when you knew not hoped, not wished, but knew something good was coming. Your tone changed. Your posture changed. Your vibration changed. Faith is certainty without evidence. It is the only vibration strong enough to override old patterns. 5. Refuse contradictory thoughts. Dismiss doubt with the same authority a king dismisses a servant. No divided mind can create. 6. Act in harmony with the picture. Let every step you take affirm the reality you have already chosen. A definite vision is destiny in blueprint form. This is why the man who fears never prospers. He prays for success but vibrates in doubt. He imagines wealth while expecting loss. He declares abundance while quietly preparing for failure. The universe cannot obey two masters, and so it delivers a divided result, a life of fits and starts, progress followed by collapse, opportunity followed by setback. Faith eliminates the division. Faith speaks once and acts as though it has already been answered. Hill taught 3 methods for building unshakable faith methods, as relevant today as the day he wrote them. 1, autosuggestion. Speak your desire into your mind until the subconscious accepts it as fact. The subconscious does not argue. It obeys repetition. 2, emotionalization. Attach feeling to your vision. Emotion is the voltage that powers the thought. A cold desire has no magnetism. 3, practice of certainty. Act as the person who already possesses what you seek. Identity precedes reality. When you walk as the wealthy walk, the universe responds accordingly. Faith is not blind. It is disciplined, and the greatest discipline is refusing to allow appearances to contradict your inner knowing. Appearances are temporary. Faith is eternal. Every time you choose faith over fear, you shift your vibration toward abundance. Every time you affirm the vision instead of the circumstance, you strengthen your link to infinite intelligence. Hill wrote that the subconscious mind transforms thought into reality only when the thought is saturated with belief. Belief is the force that charges the thought with life. A weak thought produces a weak result. A confident thought produces an inevitable one. Look at your own experience. There were moments when you knew not hoped, not wished, but knew something good was coming. Your tone changed. Your posture changed. Your vibration changed. It is a vibration, a frequency that aligns your mind with the very source of wealth. If faith is the substance of your desire, then gratitude is the stabilizer. It locks your vibration into the state of abundance and prevents your old patterns of fear from pulling you backward. Wattles called gratitude the great harmonizer, the mental attitude that keeps you connected to the infinite supply. Hill explained the same principle in his own language. You can be rich only by forming the habit of thinking in terms of riches. Gratitude is the habit that makes this possible. Most people misunderstand gratitude. They treat it as a reaction, a feeling reserved for when something good happens. But metaphysically, gratitude is not a reaction. It is a cause. You do not feel grateful because abundance appears. Abundance appears because you feel grateful. When you express gratitude, you send a signal to infinite intelligence. I recognize the supply that surrounds me. I expect more. I am prepared to receive. Gratitude is the spiritual handshake between your mind and the universe. Think of two tuning forks. Strike the first one, and the second vibrates in harmony. That is what gratitude does. It strikes the note of abundance, and the universe vibrates back with equivalent form. Hill taught that the greatest weakness of the average person is their tendency to focus on what is missing. They think of debt. They think of delay. They think of obstacles. And because the subconscious mind accepts whatever is repeated with emotion, they end up attracting more of the same. Gratitude reverses that condition instantly. It directs the mind toward what is working, what is possible, what is already present. In this state, fear loses its grip. A grateful mind cannot simultaneously broadcast lack. And since the law of attraction is the law of harmonious vibration, the mind that dwells in gratitude naturally draws to itself the conditions that justify its gratitude. Examine your life carefully. There were moments when things moved effortlessly. You felt light. You felt hopeful. You felt as if life itself were cooperating with you. And in those periods, you were unconsciously grateful. Your vibration rose. Your intuition sharpened. Your decisions improved. People responded differently. This was not coincidence. This was alignment. Hill wrote, every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Only a grateful mind can see the seed. A fearful mind sees only the adversity. Gratitude trains the mind to expect good. Expectation is faith in motion, and faith is the substance that shapes reality. To practice gratitude in the creative way, not the sentimental way, follow these laws. 1. Begin each day with a declaration, not a wish, not a prayer of desperation, but a statement of partnership with the infinite. I am grateful for the supply that surrounds me. It flows to me. It flows through me. 2. Be grateful before you receive. This is the highest demonstration of faith. When you thank the universe for what is still invisible, you accelerate its appearance. 3. Replace complaint with creation. Every complaint lowers your vibration. Every act of gratitude raises it. Choose the upward path. 4. Express increase everywhere you go. Hill said the greatest leaders are those who make others feel richer by their presence. Increase is the footprint of gratitude. 5. Feel the emotion, not just the words. The universe responds to vibration, not vocabulary. Feel the gratitude as if the result were already yours. Gratitude transforms your mind into a magnet for abundance. It makes you receptive to ideas, opportunities, and relationships that would remain invisible in a negative state. Most important of all, gratitude dissolves tension. A tense mind cannot receive. A grateful mind receives effortlessly. In the next chapter, we move from inner alignment to outer expression. Acting in the certain way, the method of taking action with calm confidence, without fear, without hurry, and without interfering with the law that is already working in your favor. For gratitude prepares the soil, but action plants the seed. Napoleon Hill taught that action is the expression of belief. You can think richly, you can speak richly, you can visualize riches with perfect clarity. But until you act with the confidence of one who expects success, your desire remains suspended in the unseen. Wattles called this acting in a certain way. Hill called it accurate thinking, followed by decisive action. Both men described the same law act as the wealthy act. Move as the wealthy move. Think as the wealthy think, and the law will shape circumstances to match your state. Most people act from fear. They hurry. They panic. They force. They attempt to drag results out of the universe with frantic hands, but frantic action is wasted motion. For it declares to the subconscious, I do not believe, and the universe, respecting that declaration, returns delay, obstruction, and scarcity. Hill warned that fear clouds judgment, and any action taken in fear is an action taken against yourself. The man who acts in the certain way is different. He does not hurry, for hurry is a symptom of doubt. He does not postpone, for postponement is a confession of weakness. He does not hesitate, for hesitation reveals a divided mind. Instead, he moves with calm, deliberate precision, as though an invisible hand were already clearing the path ahead. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. When your vision is definite and your faith is fixed, your action becomes the natural extension of your inner certainty. Hill often wrote that the mind dominated by purpose becomes a magnet for ideas, and ideas are the raw material of wealth. But ideas have no value until expressed through action backed by belief. Consider this. Every success story you admire, every great fortune, every breakthrough was created by someone who acted while others hesitated. Not recklessly, not impulsively, but confidently, with the quiet conviction of one who knows that infinite intelligence supports every step aligned with purpose. To act in a certain way, adopt these principles. 1, act right where you are. Hill said, the man who waits for perfect conditions will wait until he dies. The infinite always begins with what is at hand. Do the next right thing, not tomorrow, but today. 2, act with full presence. A divided mind creates divided results. The law responds to certainty. 5, act without emotional interference. Do your work, then release it. Do not dig up the seed to see if it is growing. Worry is interference. Faith is cooperation. 6, act in harmony with your vision. Every step, every word, every gesture must align with the future you have claimed. Actions that contradict your vision cancel your progress. Napoleon Hill declared that faith is the eternal elixir that gives life power. and action to the impulse of thought. Every miracle of achievement begins with it. Every fortune is sustained by it. And every failure is the result of its absence. In the science of wealth, faith is not hope. Hope waits. Faith acts. Hope looks forward. Faith looks inward. Hope prays for results. Faith commands results. When you act in this manner, you create momentum, the invisible force, Hill described as the accumulated power of accurate thought plus definite purpose. Momentum is wealth in motion. Once it begins, it becomes difficult to stop. You enter a rhythm where ideas align, opportunities appear, and resources gather without strain. Others call this luck, but it is simply law in action. The universe bends toward the individual who moves with conviction. In the next chapter, you will learn what happens when all elements of creation, vision, faith, gratitude, and decisive action merge into one harmonious flow. This is the stage where wealth stops being something you chase and becomes something that moves toward you. There comes a moment in every creator's evolution when the struggle ceases, not because life has become easier, but because you have begun working with the law instead of against it. Napoleon Hill described this turning point as the transition from forcing life to directing life. Wattles called it living in the certain way, where supply flows not through effort, but through alignment. This is the state where wealth begins to move toward you with a rhythm so natural that others mistake it for luck. But nothing about this flow is accidental. It is the consequence of definite vision, sustained faith, disciplined gratitude, and deliberate action, all working together as one harmonious current. The effortless stream of supply begins within, not without. Most people chase money. They strain. They cling. They chase opportunities like a man chasing his own shadow, never realizing the shadow follows automatically once he stands in the light. Money works the same way. You do not chase it. You become the source it is drawn to. Hill wrote, riches begin with a state of mind, with definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard work. Meaning, wealth is not something you earn, it is something you allow. Yet the average person has trained themselves into financial tension. They fear loss. They fear lack. They fear the unknown. And because fear is the vibration of contraction, the flow of supply cannot enter a mind that is closed. The effortless stream opens only when the mind opens. Wattles explained this using a simple truth. You cannot hold the mind of poverty and expect the riches of creation. A mind vibrating in fear of loss cannot receive gain. A mind vibrating in doubt cannot receive certainty. A mind vibrating in hurry cannot receive abundance. The rich mindset is calm, confident, expectant. It does not beg. It does not compete. It does not force. It allows. Consider what happens when the farmer plants a seed. He does not stand over the field yelling commands at the soil. He aligns with the laws that govern growth. He prepares the ground. He plants the seed. He waters in faith. He waits in gratitude. He does his part, then allows the law to do its part. The effortless stream of supply is the same. Your thoughts are the seed. Your faith is the water. Your gratitude is the sunlight. Your action is the cultivation, but the growth, the manifestation, belongs to the law. When all four elements operate together, the flow begins. Ideas come faster. Opportunities come easier. Ressources come unexpectedly. People come at the perfect time. Money comes in channels you could never have forced. You have felt hints of this before, moments when everything aligned. When you moved through life with an inner rhythm and life responded instantly, that was the effortless stream. It was brief only because your old beliefs interrupted it. Now it can become your dominant state. To live in this flow, you must practice 3 laws. 1, release all forms of financial fear. Fear is the dam that blocks supply. Hill taught that fear of poverty is the most destructive of all fears because it disconnects you from infinite intelligence. You cannot attract what you fear. Is 2, circulate money with consciousness. Money must move. When you give with faith, you expand the channel. When you hoard with fear, you constrict it. Circulation is spiritual breathing. Inhale and exhale with confidence. 3, stand in the vibration of increase. Everything you touch must grow. Everything you say must uplift. Everything you think must expand. Increase is the signature of alignment. Where increase exists, supply flows. When you live this way, you become a magnet. Not for money alone, but for ideas, relationships, insights, circumstances, and timing that multiply your wealth effortlessly. You stop trying to predict the how, because you finally understand that the how belongs to the law, not to you. Your task is alignment. The law's task is delivery, and the law never fails. In the next chapter, the final culmination of all teachings, you will discover the true nature of wealth, the consciousness from which all riches spring, the state where you no longer pursue abundance, because you have become abundance itself. There is a truth so profound, so quietly powerful, that the moment you understand it, your entire relationship with money changes forever. It is this: money is not the real wealth. Money is only the shadow wealth casts. The true currency is consciousness. Napoleon Hill dedicated his life to proving this principle. He spent decades interviewing the world's greatest industrial giants, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, and discovered that none of them were driven by money itself. They were driven by mind, by purpose, by vision, by the expansion of life. Money simply followed. Wattles said the same in a single sentence. You are not here to earn a living. You are here to give life. When you grasp this, you stop chasing the symbol and begin embodying the source. The ordinary man labors for money because he believes money will grant him confidence, peace, freedom, or security. But he has the relationship reversed. Money does not create those feelings. Those feelings create money. The wealthy do not wait for abundance to feel abundant. They feel abundant, and abundance appears. The average person spends life in fear of loss, fear of lack, fear of uncertainty. Hill called this the poverty vibration, a subtle mental poison that repels opportunity and hardens the heart against possibility. But the one who understands the true currency moves differently. He thinks in terms of expansion. He speaks in terms of increase. He acts as one who carries infinite supply within himself. And because he moves like the source, the world treats him like the source. This is why the richest lives on earth are lived by people who see wealth not as a possession, but as a state of being. Consider every great figure of prosperity in history. Before the empire, there was the vision. Before the fortune, there was the certainty. Before the external riches, There was the internal awareness. I am connected to the infinite. What I seek already exists within me. This is the consciousness hill called the master mind. Not a group, but a state of union with infinite intelligence. Money is simply one of the ways infinite intelligence expresses through you. But it is not the purpose. It is not the goal. It is not the power. It is the echo of power. When you begin to live as the creator instead of the competitor, as the giver instead of the struggler, you activate the highest law of wealth. Increase flows toward the one who increases life. You give more clarity, more value, more energy, more understanding, more excellence, and the universe, by law, returns that increase multiplied. This is the divine economy where you cannot bless another without blessing yourself, where you cannot uplift life without life rising beneath your feet, where your wealth is not measured by what you possess, but by what flows through you to embody the true currency. 4 transformations must happen within you. 1, you stop fearing loss. Loss is impossible to the one who knows. The source is infinite. You do not shrink, you expand. 2, you stop chasing money. You pursue purpose, service, growth. Money becomes a natural byproduct of your contribution. 3, you stop identifying with lack. You begin to think from the state of abundance, not toward it. 4, you stop working for survival. You begin working as expression, the expression of the highest within you. At this point, you no longer ask, how do I get more? You ask, how do I become more? For the man who becomes more can never have less. Hill ended Think and Grow Rich with a single declaration. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Waddles ended his work with an equally powerful truth. When you raise your own life, you raise the world. The true currency, then, is not money, but the consciousness that commands money, the awareness that shapes reality, the identity that expands life wherever it goes. When you live from that identity, wealth becomes inevitable, effortless, certain, not because you earned it, but because you became the person through whom abundance must flow. And now you stand at the edge of a new life, not because you discovered a trick, not because you learned a strategy, but because you awakened to law, the law that wealth is not earned by suffering, but summoned by consciousness, the law that money is not the master, but the mirror, the law that abundance does not respond to your sweat, but to your state of mind. You are no longer the person who chases opportunity. You are the person opportunity is drawn to. You are no longer the one begging the universe for a chance. You are the one the universe now recognizes as a channel for increase. Carry this truth with you. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And today, you became more. If this message awakened something powerful in you, if it shifted your thinking, elevated your vibration, or reminded you of the wealth already within you, then don't let the momentum fade. Subscribe to this channel. Join the movement of minds rising above struggle. Activate the bell so you never miss a chapter of this transformation. And share this message with someone who is ready to stop chasing money and start becoming the source of it. Remember, the moment you align with law, your destiny changes. The moment you think richly, the universe obeys. The moment you act with certainty, wealth begins moving towards you. This is your time, your season, your rise. claim it, live it, become it. Because once you understand this law, you will never lack money again. If you understood the law I'm about to reveal.
Okay, the Bible says that faith comes by hearing the word. And tonight you've heard truth, truth that has always been present in Scripture, yet often invisible to those who lack the ears to hear it. The fact that you're here is evidence that you're ready for change, ready for clarity, and ready for increase. Some of you have already begun to experience the results of putting these principles into practice. And remember, fruit doesn't always show up first in your bank account. Sometimes it shows up first in your heart. Maybe you've noticed a shift in your thoughts. Maybe there's a calm inner certainty rising in you, a quiet confidence that good things are flowing your way. Or maybe you've already seen real manifestations of the assumptions you've been boldly making. Whatever it is, big or small, it matters because every testimony strengthens someone else's faith. So at this time, I'd love to hear from a few of you if you feel led to share. Go ahead and unmute or raise your hand, and we'll acknowledge you one at a time. Your story could be the spark that ignites someone else's breakthrough. So go ahead and raise a hand or unmute if you feel like you would like to share. I know some of you are having these experiences because you've actually shared them with me. So don't be shy. We've got a hand here. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good, good.
And welcome everybody to the webinar, Sunday webinar. I can definitely attest to how I started to shift my mindset. I was out of network marketing for a few years before this opportunity came back to me. Um, and it really, when I sat in on a Sunday call and I listened to all the principles that were being talked about and just started applying them to my life way before I made the decision to join the company, I started to notice a mindset. I'm on TikTok. I'm a creator on TikTok. And I kept trying to sell a certain item. And once I just started using that item and just making videos and accepting that I was a popular creator already, I could feel that release off my shoulders of trying. And I started realizing that I was walking in the alignment that I was meant to be. And that really started me to make a shift to saying, well, could this program work? And then it shifted over to, I will make this program work. And then it shifted to, this program is working. And that's when I started to be a little bit more involved with it. And simply from making a couple conversations in the Telegram group, now, I'm in a position to help a lot more people. And that has really, and this is all like within like 2 weeks, where I started to realize, if I apply all these things to everything in my life, things might become easier. So I applied them to my workout. I made it just part of my routine. Um, Cleaning my house every day instead of once a week. And then I just started noticing that everything started becoming more aligned. And so just a little testament for, everybody who may have any type of doubt. Um, this program, even though we talk about money in this program really does have a lot of benefits. In the secret sauce, there's a lot of stuff that's in there that I read every single day. It's part of my routine now. It's along with my praying, reading my Bible. Um, I look at as a reference for me. Am I aligned with what I'm being told to do here? So I know this is your long seminars and long webinars, but if you start to apply these principles, I promise they will start to work for you.
Well, that's powerful, Michael. I know you've been helping a lot of people with their questions in the chat, and the more you serve, the more is going to come back to you. So thank you very much. Stephen Carter, you're
Yes,
unmuted.
yes. Thank you, and again for having some wonderful information. And I think it's you have to surrender and start chasing the money. And when you do that, you get on the you get on that right platform. And for me, it's been a 7 year journey. And but this last year, I could really see the growth and my faith, and you gotta give up a lot too. You gotta give up people that no longer serve you, and the hard ones is your family. But God always heals you and keeps moving you on. And I thank you again. And on the days you don't want to get up, just gotta get up and keep on going. It's not how you fall down; it's how you get up and keep moving. So one step a day, it's okay. God ain't no rush, and you shouldn't be either. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate those kind words and words of wisdom. Well, family, if you truly understood what you just heard, then you now know why we do not attract money with our hands. We create it with our belief, our intention, our expectation, and our willingness to act. Napoleon Hill wasn't giving theory. He was revealing a law just like gravity, one that God himself wired into creation, the law that says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And when you begin to align your thoughts, your emotions, your vision, and your faith with what you want, lack loses its power over you. That's exactly what we teach here. That's exactly what BDM is built on. Sowing with intention, reaping with expectation, moving from needing to receiving, from hoping to knowing, from wishing to walking in abundance. Tonight is a turning point. Make the decision to live this law. Make the decision to expect increase, and make the decision to put faith into motion. Let's close in prayer. Father, we thank you for opening our minds and our spirits tonight. We thank you for revealing the law of increase, the law you built into the universe from the very beginning. Lord, remove every thought of lack, every lie of limitation, every fear that keeps your people small. Replace it with boldness, clarity, and the unshakable expectation that abundance is our birthright. Let every person here walk out tonight with a renewed vision, renewed faith, and renewed courage to take action. Let the seeds we sow multiply. Let abundance chase us down, and let our lives become living testimonies of your provision and your goodness. We receive it, we believe it, and we thank you for it in advance. Amen. With that, folks, thanks for being here. Appreciate you sharing this moment of time with us. God bless you the rest of this evening and throughout the coming week. With that, we'll just say good night.